Hello everyone, this is Petko from GraphOps, and today we'll be looking at a demo of the Subgraph Upgrade precinct feature of Subgraph Radio. And this is sort of like a follow-up demo to the first demo that covers Subgraph Radio as a whole, and more specifically the POI cross-checking feature. So this one will be only for the Subgraph Upgrade precinct feature. So if you would like to go back and learn about Subgraph Radio in general and about the POI cross-checking feature, please take a look at the other demo. Now, what exactly are we going to be talking about? So first, we'll say a few words on what the Subgraph Upgrade precinct feature is, and then how you can enable it as a indexer running Subgraph Radio. And last but not least, how you can utilize the GraphCast CLI to send upgrade intent messages as a Subgraph developer to let indexers know that you plan on releasing a new version of your Subgraph. So what exactly is the Subgraph Upgrade precinct feature? So it provides a way for Subgraph developers to signal when they plan on releasing a new Subgraph version, which allows indexers to start syncing that Subgraph in advance. Subgraph developers can use the GraphCast CLI to send a message to all indexers that are interested in the given Subgraph. On the indexer side, this is as simple as just setting two new configuration options. One of them is the level of subgraphs that you would like to accept upgrade intent messages for, and the second one is the indexer management server, and we'll see all of that in a bit, but that's it in a nutshell. It lets Subgraph developers notify indexers who are already indexing their Subgraph about an upcoming version release for that Subgraph. And let's get straight into it. In order to get started, visit our docs, go to the GraphCast section, Subgraph Radio, and then Subgraph Upgrade Presyncing. And now what we're going to do is we're going to switch hats. So first we're going to start off as a indexer and then as a Subgraph developer and switch around in order to see the full flow. So as an indexer, if you want to support the Subgraph Upgrade Presync feature, you only need to make sure that you have valid configurations for the auto upgrade and the indexer management server endpoint. You can check details about those in the advanced configuration section. So auto upgrade is the level or filter of subgraphs that you want to support automatic syncing for. So this can be set to 4 possible values. The default is comprehensive, and comprehensive will listen for messages for all different levels of subgraphs. So this will attempt to automatically start syncing subgraphs that you're allocating to on-chain, subgraphs that you are syncing locally, statically defined subgraphs, which can be defined by the topics variable. The topics variable lets you assign static topics that you are interested in, and it doesn't matter if you have those subgraphs syncing locally or if you're allocating to them. The second level is on-chain, so that would only care about subgraphs that you're allocating to. Then minimal, which is only the statically defined list of topics. And then none is if you don't want to automatically start syncing any subgraph. Okay, that's it about the auto upgrade. Then you also have to have set the indexer management server endpoint. That is just the URL to the indexer management server of indexer agent, something like this. You need the full URL. And then the last thing is you can configure the rate limit threshold, because people can just send subgraph upgrade messages onto the GraphCast network. They can get a little too much if there's no rate limit, although we do check that the sender of the message has to be the owner of the subgraph. Still, we utilize a rate limit threshold, and the default is 1 day. So you will only get one message per day per subgraph. Of course, you can configure this and it's configurable in seconds. I want to quickly show you how that looks like on my demo configuration. So I have the indexer management server endpoint set to my indexer management server endpoint, and then auto upgrade is comprehensive, although this is default, so you don't need to set this. And then rate limit threshold for me is 1 second for the demo because I'm going to be sending a lot of messages, but that is all you need. Now, just before we jump onto the Subgraph developer's point of view, let me show you. I'm running the essential stack of sticks with the Docker Compose stack because it will be the easiest demo things using this. I'm going to start Subgraph Radio also, and for the different ways of running Subgraph Radio, you can refer to the main Subgraph Radio demo. So I'm going to do bash start all subgraph radio. Now that's started, and it's going to connect to the indexer management server. So let's just hop into the indexer CLI just to show you what subgraphs I have here currently. So I have two subgraphs. This is the one that we're going to be testing with. This is the deployment that is currently published. So we will be expecting messages for this deployment hash whenever a subgraph developer decides they want to notify indexers that are syncing this deployment that there's going to be a new deployment. So this is the one that we care about. It is currently synced, so we are just waiting on the indexer side to receive a subgraph upgrade message. Now on the subgraph developer's side, this is a Gordy subgraph that I have published. And the first version is published, but now I've deployed this version, 003, and I want to notify indexers that I plan to publish this one. And of course, I would like it to be synced at that point before I publish. That is why I will use the Subgraph Upgrade Presync feature, and I will do that using the GraphCast CLI. But just before any of that, let's make sure that everything here is clear. So this is the new version. So I'm going to need the subgraph ID, and I'm going to need the deployment ID. So this is the ID of the new deployment that I'm planning to publish. And then I need the subgraph ID in order to send a GraphCast message using the GraphCast CLI. The subgraph ID you can find over here. If you copy that and just paste it somewhere, this will be your ID. This will be the ID of the subgraph that you need. And then the new deployment ID is here. So if we go back to the docs and we check out the as a subgraph developer section, the easiest way to use the GraphCast CLI is to just run it as a Docker image. So you wouldn't need to get the repo from GitHub, then build and run it from source. This is the command you need to run. First, you need to have Docker installed, and then just run this command, and it will pull the image for you from our GitHub container registry. And then you have to set these values. The graph account is the subgraph developer address. The private key is the private key for that account. This is important because the GraphCast CLI will have to make sure that this account is the actual subgraph owner. Then upgrade presync is the command we want to use on GraphCast CLI. Then you pass in the subgraph ID and then the new hash. So the hash of the new deployment that you want indexers to start syncing. So I will copy that and I will make some alterations, adding the variables that I need. So here's what my command will look like. I've changed the private key, so it's not the real one, but everything else is the same as what I'm going to run. This is my graph account. This is the address that has deployed the subgraph. And then this is the new hash. Remember, I got the new hash from here. And this is the subgraph ID, which I got from copying this over and taking the last part, which is the subgraph ID. So now if I change my private key to what it should be and run it, then in a matter of a few seconds to a minute, the message should be sent. And don't worry if you see errors like this. If the last log says sent message with a message ID, that means everything is fine. Now, if we go back to the indexer side of things, I've switched my logger to use the trace level so that we can see everything that's going on. So over here, we can actually see that we've received a message. The message has been parsed as an upgrade intent message. This is the graph account, which is the subgraph developer that we just sent the message from. This is the new hash. It recovered the sender address. So it made sure that that's the sender address and that is the owner of the subgraph. And then it sent a request to indexer agent to start off-chain syncing the new subgraph deployment. So now if we check the indexer CLI again and check the indexing statuses, we can see that in the off-chain sync list that we have the new deployment hash and it has already been synced. So that's it from the point of view of the indexer. But now what if the subgraph developer wants to check if there are any indexers that actually sync the new deployment after the Subgraph developer sent the Subgraph upgrade message using the GraphCast CLI. So we can also do that in the GraphCast CLI. If we go back to the docs, there is a section about how to check the indexing statuses, and it's pretty much going to be the same command, just replace the sub command from upgrade presync to indexing status. The rest of the variables are the same, and then you can be sure that an indexer has fully synced your new deployment. So let's take a look at that. So this is the command I'm going to run. It's exactly the same command, just instead of the upgrade presync subcommand, we use indexing dash status. So if I run this, and this is what we get as a response. So you will see number of APIs to query indexing status. So this would show all of the indexers that were already syncing your subgraph. In our case, it's just one. It's the demo indexer that we showed. And here in the second log, it says indexing status summary, which is pretty helpful because you know how many indexers are currently allocated to the subgraph. It's one. Number of indexers, number of synced indexers, and the latest sync block, so you will know what the average progress is. In our case, the subgraph deployment is already fully synced. And that concludes our demo. Thank you so much for sticking around. If you want to learn more about GraphCast and Subgraph Radio, and more specifically the Subgraph Upgrade presync feature, you can visit our docs. You can also check the Subgraph Radio repository. And we will appreciate it a lot if you go to the request for feedback issue that we have on Subgraph Radio to share anything from general feedback to requests for features to issues that you might be having. We also want to encourage you to open issues on the Subgraph Radio repository. Message us either in the GraphCast channel on the Graph Discord server or on X, formerly Twitter. You can find our account over here. And thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.